In 17th century Europe, the great family of Habsburgs were suffering from genetic disorders due to repeated inbreeding. The Spanish branch of the Habsburgs could not avoid this curse either. But, in Spain, a princess was born to the joy of all of the family. It is said that even the emperor of the Western Roman Empire said that his dying wish was to see her in person, just once. We'll find out who this princess was, and there's also a very famous painting associated with her that we can't leave out. We'll also share the story behind that painting. But first, please like and subscribe the channel. Today's main character is Margarita Theresa, known as Marguerite Therese in German. This princess has many portraits, which have become prized collections in the Kunsthistorisches Museum in Vienna, the Louvre in Paris, and the Prado Museum in Madrid. Not only do these portraits hold immense art historical value, but her charming appearance captivates viewers. If she looks this beautiful in paintings, imagine how stunning she must have been in person. Among the portraits of the princess's childhood, I find the one from when she was 5 years old to be the most enchanting. This painting perfectly captures her at that age. It was sent to Vienna, where it caused quite a stir because of her extraordinary beauty. With such a lovely daughter, it's no surprise her father became completely smitten with her. Let's take a moment to learn about the princess's father and get a brief overview of her family history. Margarita's father was King Felipe IV, and her mother was his second wife, Mariana of Austria. The age gap between them was nearly 30 years, and they were uncle and niece. The first wife of King Felipe IV was Isabella from France. Between Felipe IV and Queen Isabella, there were 2 surviving children, Prince Baltasar Carlos, Princess Maria Theresa, who would later marry Louis XIV of France. Prince Baltasar Carlos was betrothed to Mariana of Austria. Mariana was the daughter of King Felipe IV's sister, Maria Anna of Spain. Maria Anna married another Habsburg monarch, the Holy Roman Emperor Ferdinand III, and Mariana was born between them. So Mariana and Baltasar Carlos were cousins. But Baltasar Carlos, who was in excellent health, died unexpectedly of smallpox after attending the 2-year memorial service for his mother, Queen Isabella. He was 16. His untimely death was deeply mourned because he had shown great promise. After Baltasar Carlos's death, King Felipe IV, only surviving child, was the youngest daughter, Maria Theresa. So, soon King Felipe IV was faced with a pressure to produce a new male heir. So the king decided to remarry. And the bride? It was Baltasar Carlos's would-be bride, Mariana of Austria. That's right. She ended up marrying the man who would have been her father-in-law, and also her maternal uncle, King Felipe IV, at the age of 14. Queen Mariana, who was initially supposed to be Maria Theresa's sister-in-law, became her stepmother. There was only 4-year difference between their age, and being cousins, the two had uncanny resemblance. When we look at their portraits, the resemblance is striking. At first glance, they look like they could even be sisters. However, closer inspection reveals the differences. The left portrait shows Maria Theresa with an innocent expression, while the right portrait shows Queen Mariana with a more haughty and impassive demeanor. Both portraits are the work of Diego Velasquez. Soon after the marriage, Queen Mariana gave birth to Margarita, making her King Felipe's second surviving child. Although a daughter, Felipe was not overly concerned, as he was still in his 40s and had a healthy young wife in her teens. Margarita had a brush with danger as an infant. She fell gravely ill, but thanks to the dedicated care of her nurses, she survived and grew up to be remarkably healthy. Margarita was often compared to her older sister, Maria Theresa, who was 13 years her senior. Maria Theresa was slow to develop both physically and intellectually, causing much concern among those around her. She was quiet and introverted, rarely drawing attention to herself. In contrast, Margarita was lively and energetic from a very young age. People couldn't help but smile at her angelic charm. In other royal families, such a princess might not have stood out. However, in the Spanish court, Margarita's normalcy was a blessing, given the severe genetic issues caused by inbreeding within the Habsburg family. To those who watched her, every one of Margarita's actions was seen as a blessing. Her father, King Felipe IV, was famously doting, often referring to her as my joy in his letters, and calling her his little angel when they were together. This nickname caught on, and soon everyone in the court was calling her Little Angel. Margarita was a bright child, and benefited from early education. She received strict etiquette and systematic education in the Madrid court from a young age, excelling in her lessons and constantly delighting her parents. Margarita was also clever enough to outsmart the royal physicians. The physicians were worried about her teeth because she loved sweets, so they forbade Margarita from having any candy. But Margarita managed to sneak candy in and hide it various places, leading to a game of cat and mouse with the physicians trying to confiscate it. Margarita also had the great blessing of being her life documented by the legendary court artist, Diego Velasquez. She became his model at the peak of his artistic prowess. Nowadays, we have Instagram and Facebook to post the pictures, but at the time, the court artists produced portraits as the princes and princesses grow up. And at the time, Spanish princesses often sent their portraits to potential suitors of the Habsburg family in the Viennese court, and vice versa. This practice led to a collection of Margarita's portraits in Vienna. All her childhood portraits were painted by Velasquez, a unique honor that no other princess enjoyed. In Vienna, Margarita was immensely popular. Each new portrait of hers created a sensation. Her grandfather, Emperor Ferdinand III, was especially enamored with her. Whenever Spanish envoys visited, he would eagerly ask for news about Margarita and frequently expressed his wish to see her someday. Margarita was truly the star of the Habsburg family. One of the most famous paintings of Princess Margarita is Las Meninas, by Diego Velasquez. If the Louvre has the Mona Lisa, Madrid's Prado Museum boasts this iconic piece. In 1985, the British magazine Illustrated London News, which had over a century of history, conducted a survey among art professionals, including painters, gallery owners, critics, and art journalists. They asked these experts to name the greatest painting in the world. While the general public might think of Leonardo da Vinci's Mona Lisa, Michelangelo's Sistine Chapel ceiling, Rembrandt's Night Watch, or Van Gogh's Sunflowers, the experts overwhelmingly chose Velasquez's Las Meninas. This choice left many puzzled, since Velasquez wasn't as widely known at the time, and Las Meninas wasn't a household name. So, why did art experts regard this painting so highly? The answer lies in its unique originality. Let's explore what makes this painting so special. The scene is set in Velasquez's studio in the Spanish royal palace in Madrid. The painting features several figures, with Princess Margarita at the center, flanked by her maids of honor. It appears that the artist painted these individuals as the main subjects. However, a large canvas on the left side reveals Velasquez himself, standing and painting. This inclusion prompts viewers to reconsider the painting's composition. Why is the painter standing behind his subjects? The most straightforward explanation is that the painter is looking into a large mirror and depicted the scene reflected in the mirror. But there's a twist. A mirror in the background shows the reflection of King Philippe IV and Queen Mariana. So in this picture, Velasquez wasn't painting Margarita and her maids. He was painting the king and queen, who are standing in front of the princess. The scene in the painting is what the royal couple would have seen as they posed for their portrait. This interpretation explains the presence of other figures, such as the princess and her attendants. Imagine the royal couple, posing for a long time for their portrait, get bored, and ordered the princess to come to entertain them. The princess seems to be slightly annoyed for being summoned from play, so there is a maid offering her a treat, probably some candy that Margarita was famously known to love, to placate her. A court jester is trying to please the annoyed princess. Las Meninas captures a moment of royal life with remarkable realism. The composition is also ingenious in its layered perspectives and the inclusion of the artist himself, making it a groundbreaking piece in Western art. Such creativity might have been suggested by the king or queen, fascinated by the lively scene before them. As word of the painting spread, it gained recognition among intellectuals and inspired countless discussions. Modern artists like Picasso created numerous reinterpretations of Las Meninas. No other classical artwork has sparked such diverse and rich debate. Velasquez's technical brilliance further enhances the painting. His ability to capture vivid realism is striking. From a distance, the figures look almost photographic, But up close, the brushstrokes are loose and impressionistic. The headpiece and dress of the maid on the left, as well as the hands in the shadow, are painted with seemingly effortless strokes, yet contribute to the painting's lifelike quality. Las Meninas is best appreciated in person, at the Prado Museum, where one can observe the intricate details, and then step back to view the complete scene. Margarita grew older, and Velasquez passed away. His last portrait of Margarita captures her at 9, just before his untimely death from an illness contracted while preparing for the wedding of Louis XIV and Maria Theresa. Subsequent portraits of Margarita were painted by other artists. Despite the birth of siblings, most of Margarita's younger brothers and sisters did not survive infancy. The one exception was her brother, Felipe Prospero, who lived to be 4 years old, but was frail and died young. This left the family in despair, until the birth of another son, Carlos, who would eventually survive to adulthood, to become Carlos II of Spain. Today, we explored the early life of Princess Margarita, a ray of sunshine in the troubled Habsburg dynasty, plagued by inbreeding. Her charm and health were cherished by all, and her legacy is immortalized in Velasquez's masterpiece, Las Meninas. In our next video, we'll delve into Margarita's marriage and later life. Did she grow up to be a beautiful woman? Who did she marry? And what was her married life like? And how did her marriage end one of the greatest joy of the famous Sun King, Louis XIV of France? Please like and subscribe to find out what happens next. It really helps a small channel like us.